Good morning. Well, miserable morning actually, but it's the start of a bank holiday weekend, so yes, that's what you expect. I've nipped in Saturday morning. I've just handed over a bike to a customer, an RGV 250 that's been in for a good bit of work and engine rebuild. I've done a couple of photos of that one. I'll put that onto a different post later on. It's a bit of a catch-up because I haven't done one for a while. Reason is we've just been so busy and everything's sort of all happened at once. But thought it's about time to just see what we're doing, what we're going on. So, quick roundup of, I suppose, what we've got in. I know everybody likes to always see what we're doing and where everything's got progress-wise. This TZR 250 3XV's just come in. Leaky carburetors. I don't think anything more than that, just carburetor set and service. NC30 its carbs are off at the moment. If you can see, there's just tissue in the banks where there should be. The diaphragms needed replacing, and they're a bonded diaphragm on the carbs on those, so they've gone off to NRP in Manchester, and I'm hoping that I'll hear something back soon because I'm not sure they've got there, but we'll see. Kawasaki 350 just behind it, that's having a lot of work done, carburetors replaced and bits and pieces. That's reliant on the dyno, which I will speak about in a minute, so it's a bit on hold. But a very nice KH 250, little twin, little triple, twin to the 350. It's just had an MOT. We've put a new ignition unit on it. It had a Bio-Branson ignition on. We've put a new one on. Every now and again it would stop and just not restart for 5 minutes until something cooled. We couldn't replicate the fault. It would do it so hit and miss and sporadically, but the ignition system that was on it was God knows how many years old, and they do cause some issues. They're great when they're working, but the boilers sometimes do fail. So we've done that, put a battery on it, set the carbs up, cleaned it up, and that's ready to go again. Straight through an MOT yesterday. This little Honda, this is a rare thing in the background, it's had a capacitor fitted to remove the original battery, which is a sort of fairly common thing to do, but it's not been done right, so it's lost all its electrics and possibly damaged the generator. We'll find out. Hopefully not. I've tested it and it seems okay, but that's one of the problems you can get. If you put capacitors onto a system that isn't designed for it, or you don't put them on properly, the generator ends up doing all the work of the electrics on the bike. If you've got heavy dependent lights on there, the generators can't cope, especially at lower RPM. The voltage goes down, the current goes up, the generator gets really hot and burns out. So a capacitor is a great little modification to remove a battery and to get a bike to still start, but you've got to do it properly. The bike's got to be designed for it, or you've got to retrofit it properly. If it's not, it can cause damage, so I think that's what we're trying to overcome there. The RD500, again, that's dyno dependent. I'll go through that in a sec, but we're waiting for things to be sorted. Z400 in the corner, doesn't look like it's moved on, but it has. The carburetors are off, the engine's been spun over, we've done some basic checks. That is going to sort of move on to next stage. Got a Triumph Bonneville in for a few bits and pieces, ignition parts sorting out. That's literally only just come in, so we're in the first stages of figuring out where we're going with that. The beautiful little 3MA 1. Anybody that knows me knows how much I like these. I've got my own Mark V. This is having an Ignitec ignition unit put on, a good check over and sort out, and he's hoping to go on a track day on it in a couple of weeks. We're hoping that the dyno's ready so that I can set that up for him. A couple of last bikes. This little Serau 225, it's a proper green laner, this one. Came in because the engine wouldn't turn over and the customer was fairly confident that it had jumped a couple of teeth on the cam chain, and he was right. So we reset that, we reset the valve timing. It had only jumped a couple of teeth while he was turning it over by hand, so he'd stopped immediately, which is very good. No damage inside the engine. We set the valve clearances, we've done a compression test, we stuck a new plug in it, chucked a bit of fuel in, and it started and fired. So, again, this is a bike that's had a capacitor fitted instead of a battery. Not sure if we've still got the panel off to see it. Oh no, we haven't, it's under there. But, again, with a headlight on, a tail light on, this bike's going to sap a lot of current off its generator without a battery to help it out. Green laning, you're doing lots of low RPM riding, so we're going to have to investigate further into that. We want to put a battery and a standard regulator back onto it. Lot of work to do on that as we go. GPZ 1100, this is going out in literally just a couple of days now. This has had a full engine rebuild. It came to us via another bike dealership that didn't have time to do it in the year. We've struggled to have time to find time to do it. They'd cameraed down the bores, they'd seen oil, it was blowing oil really badly. So we've stripped the motor down, block off, found that the pistons and rings, the originals, were gone. So we've found some Wasner pistons. Boxes just sat on there under that Kawasaki clutch. Big bore pistons. They take it up to, I think it's 1174 from 1100. That means that you've got to get a new head gasket to suit the bigger piston sizes. So Cometic head gasket. Back together. A few of the little jobs he's asked us to do. The oil level sender wasn't working, so he found us a new one. We fitted that. New tyres front and back, and a disc to swap on the front where one of them is wobbling slightly. I think that's it, ready to go. We've started it a couple of times. As I say, it's pretty much ready to go. It's had a couple of runs. It's only back in to have a couple of last little things checked and sorted. The side stand trigger was coming on, so I've just put the seat off to have a look and find out why that's going on. And I think that was it. So yes, nearly done. But yeah, started up, not smoking anymore, running and sounding really good. After the rebuild, the EFI pumped up, and it must have tried to start within about half a turn of hitting the button, which is always sort of nice when they want to go. But yeah, once it started up, no signs of smoke whatsoever. It's run beautifully, so we hope it stays that way. KR1S engine, I'll show you the rest of the bike in a minute. This, I've reassembled it to this point. Crank in, balance shaft. The crank's been rebuilt. That's been away to Grampian. I reassembled it, put this in there, just span this bearing, and it's gone tight. And I think it's gone tight as the cases have closed up. So maybe there's a bit of distortion or something not quite right in this bearing. Kawasaki gearbox input bearings rarely fail. Good news is, though, available from Kawasaki, and really not a problem to sort out. I just need to take about 8 bolts out, split the cases again, drop that bolt bearing back in, cases back together. So a little bit of a hold up, but nothing serious. XLX 250R. Now this engine I think is going to get a post on its own. By grief, this has given us some grief. It came into us with the top end off and locked, and the owner had bought the bike being told it had just something was a bit locked up inside, but it shouldn't be too difficult to sort out. I think his fingers crossed was that anyway. We found a lot of problems. The customer's been very good working with us to get this engine sorted. He's had it painted. We stripped it originally, sent all the cases back to him. He got them all blasted and coated and sort of nicely shined back up again so we could rebuild it. We had to do all sorts inside it. I will do a separate post on it because it's had so much. But inside here, the rockers were all worn out. He's actually had them completely re-welded and re-engineered and rebuilt. A huge amount of work to get it going. And very difficult engine to find parts for. They ended up coming from the Lebanon, some bits for this engine. The engine under a blanket there, I can't tell you anything about yet. And the dyno. The weeks and weeks of effort. So the dyno itself is running. This is the KR1S. It's actually parked on here just to keep it out of the way at the moment, because you can see how hectic we are for space. Electrics are on. The system in here is running and works. It's all been tested and tried, but we can't really run a bike on it. As you can see, it's a brake dyno. This unit down here is the brake unit. This box on top is just being robbed for some parts. Twin fan ram air cooling at the front. I did actually get a full ram air system for it as well with it, but I'm not going to be using that, I wouldn't think. The software's all sort of set up, done some basic calibration just to make sure everything works, and in here is good to go. Box in the far corner, the little yellow thing there, is a weather station, so it monitors pressure, ambient air temperature. The box to the right is the CO meter, so we can do exhaust detection, see what the mixture's doing through the run and things like that, and then display screen at the far end. Anyone that knows anything about dynos will be familiar with all this. But the problem that we've had is out here, or up there should we say. The extraction system. As you can see, lots of bits of blue pipework hanging about on top of the box. The extraction system was so noisy when we first started it up, you couldn't stand to be in the unit without a set of ear defenders on. In here it was like an air raid siren going off. We found the problems where the pipework and the motor were unsuitable for each other. It was creating sort of air cavitation inside the extractor fan housing, and the noise was just tremendous. The fan was going too fast for the air it could flow. So I'm having a 3-phase variable speed motor fitted with a speed controller that I can work from inside the dyno box. That means I can match the speed of the fan to the airflow that it can move and keep the noise down to a minimum. And I've got some big silencing ducts to put in. We're going to go from 1 silencing duct to 3. And then the air will go out that back wall once we've got sorted. Should be done this week, this coming week. About 6 hours work to get that all wired in and sorted out. Now that we've got a solution to the problem, because that was the issue, we didn't know what to do to make it quieter. But now we've got a solution, we just need to test it and check it. And then get through all this work. We've got another 4 engines in bits. We've got another 2 bikes at store. I've got a little lock-up round the corner that I use for chassis that aren't actually sort of having anything done with them at the moment. But those bikes will get their own posts. Most of these bikes are probably due out within the next week to 2 weeks on the bikes that are coming in and out. The longer term bikes, the ones that are waiting for Dyno, they're probably up to a month. And the Z400, well, we'll pick away at it through as we go, but who knows with that one. So that's it for today. That's us caught up to now, I think. Do another video, one of these videos in a couple of weeks to see where we are with all the rest of it, and hopefully the Dyno will be running by then. And probably one of those 2 of these bikes will get their own posts in the meantime. I will try my best to start being a little quicker at getting those videos up. Anyway, everybody have a good bank holiday weekend. That's me done for this. Now I'm shutting up, and that's me done for 2 days off. Well earned.